The rusted chain slipped from Lucas Wright's calloused hands for the third time, sending a streak of black grease across his already stained white t-shirt. He muttered under his breath, but kept his frustration in check, not with his 8-year-old daughter watching intently from her perch on an upturned milk crate in their modest garage. "You've almost got it, Dad," Emma encouraged, swinging her legs back and forth. Her own bicycle, second-hand but lovingly maintained, hung from hooks on the wall. "Just like you fixed mine last summer." Lucas smiled despite the persistent ache in his lower back, the result of pulling a double shift at the construction site yesterday. "This one's a bit trickier, sweetheart. This chain is practically fused with rust." He was working on a vintage bicycle he'd picked up at a yard sale for $10. With some elbow grease and parts scrounged from his collection of spares, he hoped to restore it enough to sell for $50 or $60 money they could use for Emma's upcoming school field trip. Single fatherhood hadn't been Lucas's plan. When Emma's mother walked out 5 years ago, leaving nothing but a hastily scrawled note explaining she needed to find herself, Lucas had been blindsided. Construction work paid the bills mostly, but money was perpetually tight. Yet, watching Emma's earnest face as she studied his repair techniques, Lucas knew he wouldn't trade this life for anything. "Hand me that wrench, please," he said, pointing to his toolbox. Emma hopped down and selected the correct tool. At 8, she knew the difference between a socket wrench and a crescent wrench, knowledge she proudly shared with her third-grade class during show and tell. Their Saturday morning repair ritual was interrupted by the sound of tires crunching on the gravel driveway outside. Lucas glanced at his watch, not even 9 o'clock yet. "Dad, someone's here on a super fancy bike," Emma exclaimed, peering through the small garage window. Lucas wiped his hands on a rag and stepped outside, Emma trailing close behind. A sleek carbon fiber mountain bike worth more than his monthly salary leaned against a silver BMW parked in his driveway. Beside it stood a girl about Emma's age, her face streaked with tears. A woman knelt next to her, examining the bike's rear wheel. "Excuse me," the woman called when she noticed Lucas. "I'm so sorry to bother you, but we've had a bit of a bicycle emergency. Someone at the gas station said there was a man who fixes bikes on this street." Lucas approached, immediately noticing the bent rear derailleur and dislodged chain. The woman looked up, and for a moment, Lucas forgot about the bicycle entirely. She was striking chestnut hair pulled back in a casual ponytail, intelligent green eyes, and a face that needed no makeup to be beautiful. She wore high-end cycling gear that probably cost more than his entire wardrobe, yet there was something unpretentious about her expression. "That would be me," Lucas said, extending his hand. "Lucas Wright. Willow Adams," she replied, her handshake firm. "And this is my daughter, Lily." "We were on our morning ride when her bike suddenly made this awful grinding noise, and then—" She gestured to the damaged equipment. Emma had already sidled up to Lily. "Your bike is super cool," she said. "I'm Emma. My dad can fix anything with wheels." Lily looked uncertain, glancing from Emma to her expensive bike and back again. "It's a birthday present," she said quietly. "Mom just got it for me yesterday." Lucas knelt to examine the damage. "Looks like the derailleur hanger bent and pulled the chain off track." "I can straighten it out, reattach everything, and tune it up." He glanced at Willow. "Should take about 30 minutes. "Can you really?" Relief washed over Willow's face. "We're supposed to meet friends at the lake for a picnic ride, and all the bicycle shops are booked solid on Saturdays." "No problem," Lucas said, lifting the lightweight bicycle with ease. "Emma, why don't you show Lily your collection of stones while I work?" Emma brightened. "I have rocks from every state we've visited. Want to see?" Lily looked to her mother, who nodded encouragingly. The girls headed toward the small garden bed where Emma displayed her treasures. "Your daughter seems lovely," Willow commented as they walked toward the garage. "Very outgoing." "She gets that from her mother," Lucas said automatically, then winced at his own words. "I mean, I understand," Willow said softly. "Lily's father isn't in the picture either. It's been just us for 3 years now." The garage, which had seemed perfectly adequate moments ago, suddenly looked shabby through a stranger's eyes. Tools were neatly organized, but the concrete floor was stained, and the walls needed paint. The contrast between Willow's obvious wealth and his modest circumstances couldn't have been clearer. "Nice setup you have here," Willow said, surprising him as she examined his tool wall with genuine interest. "Are you a professional mechanic?" Lucas positioned the bike on his stand. "Construction foreman by trade, bike repair is just a side gig, something I enjoy." He began working on the bent derailleur. "I restore and sell a few bikes when I can. Helps with the extras for Emma." Willow leaned against the workbench, watching his hands. "Lily's bike was ridiculously expensive, but I know nothing about fixing them. Her father always handled anything mechanical." As Lucas worked, their conversation flowed easily. He learned that Willow ran her own investment firm, having taken over her father's business 5 years earlier. She and Lily had moved to town 6 months ago to expand the company's reach. "What brought you to Somerset?" Willow asked, accepting the cup of coffee Emma had proudly prepared when the girls returned. "I grew up here," Lucas replied, carefully realigning the gears. "Left for college on a football scholarship, then construction jobs took me around the country for a while. When Emma's mother left, I decided she needed stability, a hometown, the same school for more than a year. My parents are still here, so it made sense." He didn't mention that his parents' health problems had also influenced his decision. His father's Parkinson's was progressing, and his mother couldn't manage alone. On Sundays, he and Emma had dinner with them, and he tackled whatever home repairs they needed. Outside, the girls' laughter rang out as they played some improvised game involving the garden hose and considerable splashing. "They seem to be hitting it off," Willow observed with a smile. Lucas nodded, making final adjustments to Lily's bike. "Emma's never met a stranger." "Tests the chain tension one more time, perfect. All set, good as new." Willow examined his work with obvious admiration. "That's amazing. What do I owe you?" Lucas hesitated. The repair was simple enough, but on a bike that expensive, a shop would charge at least $70. He started to say 30, then thought of Emma's field trip. $50 is fine." Willow reached into her wallet and handed him a $100 bill. "Please, you saved our day." Before Lucas could protest, Emma and Lily burst into the garage, both damp from their water play. "Mom!" Lily exclaimed. "Emma has a science project about the water cycle and she's making a terrarium. Can she come to our house sometime? We have a greenhouse." The women exchanged glances, both clearly caught off guard by their daughter's instant friendship. "Well," Willow began, "I suppose Dad makes the best terrariums," Emma interjected. "He could help us." Lucas felt his face warm. "Emma, Miss Adams and Lily probably have busy schedules actually," Willow interrupted. "We're still fairly new in town. We don't know many people yet." She pulled out her business card and wrote something on the back. "Here's my personal number. Maybe the girls could have a play date." Lucas accepted the card, trying not to show his surprise. "Sure, that would be nice." They walked outside, where Lucas explained the repairs to Lily, showing her what to watch for in the future. The girl listened attentively, clearly relieved to have her birthday present restored. "Thank you, Mr. Wright," Lily said when he finished. "You're welcome. Enjoy your ride to the lake." As Willow and Lily pedaled away, Emma tugged on his hand. "Can we really go to their house, Dad? Lily says they have a pool and a movie theater room." Lucas pocketed Willow's card. "We'll see, sweetheart. Now let's get back to that rusty chain, shall we?" But as they returned to their project, Lucas found himself thinking about green eyes and a warm smile, wondering if he would actually call the number on that card. 3 days later, standing in his kitchen after putting Emma to bed, Lucas finally worked up the courage to dial Willow's number. They arranged for Emma to visit that weekend. Saturday arrived with Emma bouncing off the walls with excitement. Lucas had never seen her so particular about her outfit or hair. As they pulled up to the address Willow had provided, Emma's eyes widened. "Dad, it's a castle." The house wasn't quite a castle, but it was certainly impressive, a sprawling modern structure of glass and stone nestled among mature oak trees. Lucas's entire home could have fit in the 3-car garage. "Remember your manners," he reminded Emma as they approached the front door, a potted terrarium in his hands. He'd spent 2 evenings creating it as a hostess gift, though now it seemed woefully inadequate. Willow opened the door wearing jeans and a simple blue blouse, her hair loose around her shoulders. "You came? Come in, please." Her smile seemed genuinely pleased as she accepted the terrarium. "This is beautiful, Lucas. You made this." Before he could respond, Lily appeared and whisked Emma away with excited chatter about showing her the greenhouse. "Would you like a tour?" Willow asked. "Or coffee first?" "Coffee sounds great," Lucas replied, following her through the immaculate house. Everything spoke of tasteful luxury artwork that was probably original, furniture that looked both expensive and comfortable. The kitchen was a chef's dream, with marble countertops and professional-grade appliances. Willow prepared coffee in a machine that looked like it belonged in a high-end cafe. "Your home is amazing," Lucas said, accepting a mug. "It's too big, honestly," Willow admitted. "My father insisted we needed a proper home when we moved here for the business expansion. I grew up in houses like this, but after my divorce, Lily and I lived in a much smaller place in the city. It was cozier." Lucas leaned against the counter. "Emma thinks she's visiting a princess castle today," Willow laughed. "Wait until she sees the treehouse. My father built it for Lily last month. It has electricity and a mini fridge." They sat at the kitchen island, conversation flowing as easily as it had in his garage. Willow asked thoughtful questions about his work, and Lucas found himself opening up about his dreams of starting his own construction company someday. In turn, he learned about the pressures she faced running her family's investment firm while raising Lily alone. "My ex-husband wasn't interested in joint custody," she explained. "He's remarried now with a new baby, sees Lily twice a year if that. Emma's mother hasn't contacted us in 3 years," Lucas admitted. "Sometimes I worry what I'll tell Emma when she's older and has more questions." "That you loved her enough for 2 parents," Willow said softly. "That's what matters." The girls' laughter echoed from somewhere in the house, and they shared a smile at the sound. "Want to see if they've flooded the greenhouse yet?" Willow suggested. They found the girls deeply engaged in creating elaborate plant arrangements. Dirt smudged on their cheeks as they carefully positioned moss and stones in glass containers. "Dad, Lily's mom has so many cool plants. Look what we made." Emma held up a glass bowl containing a miniature landscape. The rest of the afternoon passed in a blur of activity: lunch on the patio, a tour of the grounds, and finally, the promised treehouse, which was indeed fit for royalty. When it was time to leave, both girls protested vigorously. "Can't Emma stay for dinner, please?" Lily begged. Lucas was about to politely decline when Willow touched his arm. "Why don't you both stay? Nothing fancy, I was just going to grill some burgers." He should have said no. The income disparity between them felt like a chasm. What could he possibly offer someone like Willow Adams? Yet watching Emma's hopeful expression, he found himself agreeing. Dinner on Willow's patio turned out to be one of the most enjoyable evenings Lucas had experienced in years. Willow grilled burgers while he prepared a salad, moving around each other in the kitchen with surprising ease. The girls set the table, proud of their contribution. As twilight descended, they lit the fire pit, and Willow produced ingredients for s'mores. Under a canopy of stars, with fireflies blinking in the garden, Lucas found himself sharing stories he hadn't told anyone in years about his football days, his travels, the accident that had ended his athletic career. Willow listened with genuine interest, occasionally contributing her own stories about growing up as the daughter of a famous investor, the pressure to succeed, her failed marriage to a man who'd ultimately wanted a trophy wife, not a business partner. When Emma fell asleep against his side, Lucas knew it was time to leave. "Thank you," he said as Willow walked them to the car, Emma drowsy in his arms. This was unexpected. Willow's smile in the moonlight made something tighten in his chest. "Would it be too forward to suggest we do something like this again? Perhaps without the girls next time?" Lucas looked at her in surprise. "You mean like a date?" "Exactly like a date," she confirmed, a hint of vulnerability in her expression. "I'd like that," he said, and meant it. The following Friday, Lucas stood on his front porch waiting for Willow, feeling oddly nervous. His parents had happily agreed to watch Emma for the evening, though his mother had raised her eyebrows at the mention of Willow's name. The investment Adams. Lucas, they practically own half the commercial real estate downtown. He'd shrugged off her concern. We're just having dinner, Mom. Now, as Willow's BMW pulled up, he smoothed his hands over his best button-down shirt and took a deep breath. She emerged from the car wearing a simple black dress that made his mouth go dry. You look beautiful, he said as she approached. Her smile was warm. So do you, very handsome. Lucas had chosen a restaurant at the marina, not the most expensive in town, but nice enough for a first date, with excellent seafood and a view of the water. To his relief, Willow seemed perfectly content with his choice, ordering the daily special and engaging the waitress in friendly conversation. I half expected you to suggest we meet at the Pinnacle, Lucas admitted, referring to the exclusive restaurant atop the city's tallest building. Willow made a face. God, no, too stuffy. My father drags me there for business dinners. She leaned forward. Can I tell you a secret? I'd rather have a good burger than fancy food most days. The evening progressed with the same easy rapport they'd established at her house. Willow asked about his day, genuinely interested in the challenges of the hospital expansion project he was supervising. Lucas found himself captivated by her stories about navigating the male-dominated investment world. After dinner, they walked along the marina, their hands occasionally brushing until Lucas finally took hers in his. Her fingers intertwined with his naturally. I wasn't sure if you'd call me after that first day, Willow admitted as they watched boats bobbing in their moorings. Why wouldn't I? She hesitated. People sometimes get weird about the money thing. Either they want something from me or they feel intimidated. Lucas considered this. I won't pretend it didn't cross my mind. Our lives are pretty different. Are they? Willow stopped walking to face him. We're both single parents doing our best. We both work hard. We both want our daughters to be happy. She smiled softly. The decimal points in our bank accounts are just details. When he drove her home later, Lucas walked her to her door, uncertain about the protocol. Willow solved his dilemma by rising on her tiptoes and kissing him softly. I had a wonderful time, she murmured. Lucas cupped her face gently, kissing her again with more confidence. Me too. Can I see you again? I'm counting on it. Over the next several weeks, their relationship blossomed. They arranged playdates, where both girls and parents were included, picnics at the park, movie nights at Willow's house, Saturday morning bike rides where Lucas taught Lily how to perform basic maintenance on her bicycle, while Emma proudly demonstrated her knowledge. They also carved out time for just the two of them, dinner at small out-of-the-way restaurants Willow discovered, walks along the river, quiet evenings on her patio after the girls were asleep during sleepovers. Lucas found himself opening up about hopes and fears he'd never shared with anyone. I worry that I'm not giving Emma enough, he confessed one evening as they sat on his modest back porch. Not just stuff, opportunities, experiences. Willow took his hand. Lucas, that girl adores you. She's confident, kind, and curious about everything. You're giving her exactly what she needs. The first challenge to their growing relationship came in the form of Lucas's annual family reunion at his uncle's lakeside cabin, a rustic weekend of fishing, swimming, and campfires. He'd almost decided not to mention it to Willow, certain she wouldn't be interested in outhouses and sleeping bags. When he finally broached the subject, her response surprised him. That sounds wonderful. Lily has never been camping. Can we really come? You'd be comfortable there. It's pretty primitive. My uncle's cabin has electricity but no air conditioning. Everyone else pitches tents. Willow's eyes sparkled. Lucas, Wright, are you assuming I'm too prissy for camping? He felt his face redden. Maybe. I'll have you know I was wilderness camp champion 3 years running. I can start a fire with wet wood and catch fish with my bare hands. Now you're just showing off, he laughed. The weekend proved revealing. Willow arrived with a high-end tent that she and Lily set up themselves, declining Lucas's offers of help. His extended family, a boisterous mix of construction workers, teachers, and small business owners, welcomed them warmly, though Lucas caught a few curious glances at Willow's BMW among the pickup trucks. By the second day, those looks had transformed. Willow joined the women cleaning fish without complaint, taught Lucas's teenage nephew a more efficient knot for securing the canoe, and won the horseshoe tournament partnered with Uncle Jim. Meanwhile, Lily and Emma became inseparable, covered in dirt and marshmallow residue, constructing elaborate stick forts in the woods. Saturday night, after the girls had crashed in the tent, Lucas and Willow walked hand in hand along the lakeshore under a canopy of stars. "Your family is wonderful," Willow said, leaning against him. "So real. As opposed to fake families," he teased. She nudged him with her shoulder. "You know what I mean. Growing up, everything was about appearances. My father's business associates were our friends. Parties were networking opportunities. Nothing was just authentic." Lucas stopped walking, turning to face her. The moonlight silvered her hair and her eyes reflected starlight. Something had been building in his heart for weeks, and suddenly the words were there. "I love you," he said simply. Willow's breath caught. For a moment she was perfectly still, and Lucas feared he'd spoken too soon. Then she wrapped her arms around his neck. "I love you too," she whispered, before kissing him deeply. Later, as they sat by the dying campfire, Willow nestled against his side. Lucas felt a contentment he hadn't experienced in years. This woman, brilliant, kind, and surprisingly down to earth despite her wealth, loved him. And he loved her, not despite their differences, but because of the person she was underneath the trappings of success. The real test came 2 weeks later when Willow invited Lucas and Emma to a charity gala her firm was sponsoring. The event would be filled with Somerset's elite, exactly the crowd Lucas typically avoided. "You don't have to come," Willow assured him when she sensed his hesitation, "but I'd love to have you there." Lucas knew this was important to her. "I'll need to rent a tux." "You'll look incredibly handsome," she said, kissing him softly. "And Emma will love dressing up." The night of the gala, Lucas adjusted his bow tie for the 10th time, uncomfortable in the rented formal wear despite Emma's enthusiastic approval. "You look like a movie star, Dad," she exclaimed, twirling in her new dress, a purchase Willow had insisted on making despite Lucas's protests. When they arrived at the elegant hotel ballroom, Lucas's discomfort intensified. The room was filled with Somerset's wealthiest residents in designer evening wear, discussing stock portfolios and vacation homes. He felt painfully out of place until Willow appeared, resplendent in an emerald gown that matched her eyes. "You came," she said, kissing his cheek. "Thank you." "Wouldn't miss it," he replied, though his collar felt increasingly tight. The evening proceeded better than he'd expected. Willow kept him by her side, proudly introducing him to colleagues and clients. Most were polite, though a few couldn't hide their surprise when she mentioned his construction career. Emma and Lily, along with other children, were entertained in an adjacent room with activities and age-appropriate food. During dinner, Lucas found himself seated next to Willow's father, Maxwell Adams, a distinguished man in his 70s whose shrewd eyes missed nothing. "So you're the bicycle repairman who's been occupying my daughter's time," Maxwell said without preamble. Lucas met his gaze steadily. "Construction foreman, sir. The bike repair is a hobby." Maxwell studied him over his wine glass. "Willow tells me you have ambitions to start your own company someday." "Yes, sir. I've been saving and developing a business plan." Maxwell took another sip. "My daughter has excellent business instincts but questionable taste in men. Her ex-husband was Ivy League educated, came from good family, and turned out to be a self-centered opportunist who couldn't handle Willow's success." Lucas wasn't sure how to respond. "I'm sorry to hear that." Maxwell leaned closer. "Let me be direct, Mr. Wright. Are you interested in my daughter or her money, sir?" Lucas said, keeping his voice level despite his rising indignation. "I was perfectly content with my life before I met Willow. I have a job I'm good at, a daughter I adore, and plans for my future that never included marrying into wealth. I love your daughter because she's brilliant, kind, and makes me laugh. If she worked at the corner store, I'd feel exactly the same." Maxwell's expression remained impassive for a long moment before a slight smile curved his lips. "Good answer." He raised his glass slightly. "We'll see if you mean it." The conversation shifted to safer topics, but Lucas couldn't shake the feeling he'd just passed some sort of test. Later, as the band played and couples filled the dance floor, Willow drew Lucas into a quiet corner. I saw you talking with my father, she said, a hint of worry in her eyes. He can be intimidating. Lucas smiled, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. He loves you. He's just making sure I do too. And do you love me? Her vulnerability in that moment touched him deeply. In answer, Lucas kissed her, not caring who might be watching. More than I thought possible, he whispered against her lips. By the time the gala ended, Lucas had survived conversations with bank presidents, real estate developers, and society matrons. He'd even managed to enjoy himself once he realized most of these people were just ordinary humans in expensive clothing. As they collected sleepy girls from the children's room, Lucas felt Willow's hand slip into his. "Thank you for tonight," she murmured. "It wasn't as bad as I expected," he admitted with a smile. The next morning, as Lucas made pancakes for Emma, his phone rang. The number displayed belonged to Maxwell Adams. With trepidation, he answered. "Lucas, Maxwell Adams here. I'll come straight to the point. A client of mine is looking to contract the renovation of a historic building downtown into luxury apartments. Your name came up as someone who understands both quality work and budget constraints. Would you be interested in bidding on the project, as your own company, not through your current employer?" Lucas nearly dropped the spatula. "Sir, I'm flattered, but I don't have a company yet." "Then perhaps it's time you did. The licensing requirements aren't complex. My attorney could assist with the paperwork." Lucas's mind raced. "Mr. Adams, I appreciate the opportunity, but if this is because of Willow, this is business, Mr. Wright. I don't mix family and business unless it makes good financial sense. Your reputation among the builders in town is excellent. The connection to my daughter simply brought you to my attention sooner." After hanging up, Lucas stared at his phone in disbelief. The opportunity could be the break he'd been working toward for years, but was it being offered for the right reasons? That afternoon, he drove to Willow's house, his thoughts still churning. He found her in the greenhouse, repotting orchids while the girls played in the yard. "Your father called me this morning," he said without preamble. "He offered me a chance to bid on a major renovation project as my own company." Willow looked genuinely surprised. "He did? You didn't know," she shook her head. "Lucas, I never discuss you with my father in a business context." "That would be inappropriate." Relief washed through him. "I wasn't sure if I was trying to help you." Willow set down her gardening tools, her expression serious. "I would never undermine your independence that way. Whatever my father offered, it's because he sees value in your work." Lucas pulled her into his arms, soil-covered hands and all. "I love you," he murmured into her hair, "and I think I'm going to take your father up on his offer." "Good," Willow smiled up at him. "Because you're incredibly talented, and it's about time the rest of Somerset discovered that." 6 months later, Wright Construction had completed its first major project on time and under budget. Lucas had hired 4 full-time employees and was bidding on projects that would have been beyond his reach a year earlier. The renovation had been featured in a regional business magazine, bringing more attention to his fledgling company. On a crisp autumn Saturday, Lucas knelt beside a bicycle in his garage, not working, but teaching. Lily sat beside him, her face a mask of concentration as she adjusted the brakes on her mother's bike. "Like this?" she asked, tightening a cable with surprisingly steady hands. "Perfect," Lucas confirmed. "Now test the lever." Across the yard, Emma was showing Willow how to transplant seedlings for their expanded garden project. The girls had become inseparable, staying at each other's homes so often that both kept clothes and toys at both houses. Lucas watched Willow laugh at something Emma said, struck once again by how seamlessly she had fit into their lives. His modest home no longer felt inadequate when she visited. Instead, it had become a place where she visibly relaxed, kicking off her shoes and helping with dinner as if she'd always belonged there. That evening, after the girls were asleep, Emma in her room, Lily in the newly decorated guest room that had become hers, Lucas and Willow sat on the back porch swing, a blanket draped over their laps against the autumn chill. "I have something to ask you," Lucas said, his heart pounding. He reached into his pocket and withdrew a small box. Willow's eyes widened. "Lucas," he opened the box to reveal a ring not large or flashy, but a beautifully cut emerald surrounded by small diamonds. He'd saved for months, insisting on purchasing it himself despite knowing Willow could have afforded something far more extravagant. "Willow Adams, this past year has been the happiest of my life. You and Lily have filled our home with more joy than I thought possible." He took her hand. "I want to build a life with you not because it's practical or convenient, but because I fall more in love with you every day. Will you marry me?" Tears spilled down Willow's cheeks as she nodded. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, with all my heart." The ring fit perfectly as he slid it onto her finger. Their kiss was gentle at first, then deepened with the promise of their future together. "The girls will be ecstatic," Willow said when they finally pulled apart. "Lily asked me last week if you could be her dad too." Lucas's heart swelled. "I'd be honored. And I'm pretty sure Emma has been hinting about wanting a mother for months. We'll need to decide where to live," Willow mused, resting her head on his shoulder. "Your house makes more practical sense," Lucas admitted. "It's bigger, closer to both schools." Willow was quiet for a moment. "What if we built something new, together, not as big as my current house but with room for all of us to have our spaces? You could design it." The idea took root immediately. "A fresh start, I like that. I'll sell my father's monument to excess, you keep this house for rental income, and we build exactly what we want," Willow continued, warming to the idea. "With a proper workshop for your bicycle projects. And a greenhouse," Lucas added. "A real garden where you and Emma can grow vegetables." They continued planning well into the night, dreaming of their future home and shared life. When they finally went inside, Lucas paused in the doorway of the guest room, watching Lily sleep this child who had become as dear to him as his own daughter. In the morning, they gathered the girls at the breakfast table to share their news. The resulting shrieks of joy could probably be heard 3 blocks away. "I knew it," Emma exclaimed, hugging Willow tightly. "I knew you'd be my mom someday." Lily was examining the ring with awe. "Does this mean I can call you Dad?" she asked Lucas shyly. He knelt beside her chair, his throat tight with emotion. "Nothing would make me prouder," he assured her. Later, as the girls collaborated on drawing their vision of their new family home, complete with a treehouse, swimming pool, and bicycle repair shop, Lucas pulled Willow into his arms. "Who would have thought?" he murmured. "All because of a bent bicycle derailleur." "I'd say it was the best mechanical failure of my life," Willow replied, her eyes shining with love and promise. "Absolutely worth every penny of that overpriced birthday bike." Lucas laughed, kissing her softly. "I'd have fixed it for free if I'd known the reward would be this great." "Too late now, Wright," Willow teased. "You're stuck with us." Looking at the girls, his daughters now, both of them, and the extraordinary woman in his arms, Lucas couldn't imagine a better fate. From a simple bicycle repair to a family rebuilt, their journey had only just begun.